Okay, morning folks. So here's a little update of what I've been doing. Well, it wasn't that long ago that my wife decided to reconfigure all of the drawers and cupboards in the rooms around the house. And so I ended up with this huge stack of surplus drawers. They're really nicely made actually. There's just really high quality kind of drawer boxes. It seems a shame to smash them up and burn them as firewood. And then it occurred to me that maybe I could just, at least with one of them, build a Eurorack case. And actually build myself a Eurorack synthesizer. It's something I've been thinking of doing for a long time. I like the idea of the freedoms that the Eurorack format offers. I've tinkered around a bit in VCV. I'm by no means an expert at all, but I'm definitely inspired by people like Omri Cohen and these folks. Well, just Omri Cohen really on VCV. But in terms of the hardware Eurorack setups, a number of people that I like to listen to. So anyway, I took one of these drawers and then I took myself off to find a source of rails. Of course, they had to be custom length rails, kind of that long. So I came across Synth in the US. I'll leave a link below. And whilst there are suppliers in Europe, the Synth website just made it easy because I could get the rails for the end fittings and the screws for the end fittings, and just specify the lengths I wanted for those rails. And it was just really easy, just fill the basket and check out. I'm in the UK, so if I could find a UK supplier that would do that as easily, then maybe I'll go down that route next time. But also I did get quite a good stock of the little M3 screws and the side screws, so maybe that's less of a concern next time when I'm trying to fill their shopping basket online. Okay, so here is my finished case. It's 68 HP, and I've got three standard size 3U rows, and I've got a 1U row at the bottom. There's also a little gap down here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that gap, but it never hurts to have some ventilation for cooling purposes, and maybe I can get a nice strip to cover that off. But yeah, as you can see, it's a really lovely solid box. These rails fitted perfectly. I did have a little bit of a challenge trying to get my sort of crosshead posi drive style screwdriver just to get the handle to fit in between these rails, so I could come down on those screws perpendicular, and I wasn't able to. I had to screw them in at a slight angle. It seems a bit weird, and the smaller handle screwdrivers have got a screw tip which is too small for these screws, so there's a little bit of a challenge there. But anyway, I managed to wind them in and get those rails to hold firm enough. So yeah, a nice solid case for my first Eurorack setup. I'm pleased with that, very pleased with that. Oh, and another thing, when I spec'd the lengths of these bars on my Synth order, I had to obviously measure the width of the drawer box, but then I had to also compensate for the thickness of the end brackets. You see these end brackets here, so 2 end brackets worth of thickness. Then I had to take that off the length of these rails when I specified the lengths. Now the tolerances on those rails, they kind of I don't know, it's maybe a millimetre or so of potential tolerance across that rail. Sure, it's not aerospace grade manufacturing, but it did mean that I ever so slightly miscalculated. So I did have to go in with the sounder and just sort of sand down the inside of the drawer on either sides, just to create enough space to get these rails. One side assembled the rails just enough to get them to fit into the drawer unit. So I think maybe next time I would maybe just shave 1 millimetre off that spec. But yeah, very happy with these. I went with the sliding nut bars, rather, you know, the integrated nut bars rather than the sliding square-headed nuts. I just want an easy life, really, and I think it looks really nice and tidy as well. Okay, so I'm back, and yesterday I went on a trip to see Elevator Sound in Bristol. It's a really cool little shop on Stokes Croft with a bunch of guys who seemingly know everything about, well, Eurorack especially, but synthesizers in general. It's really, really tuned in, smart guys. You know, it's not just a showroom with some salespeople. They're guys who really know what they're talking about. So highly recommend, if you're in Bristol, going down to Elevator Sound on Stokes Croft. They're also the guys that lent me this natty little tape measure, which is all marked up in Eurorack dimensions. So it's got the 1U, 2U, 3U measurements and the HP measurements. That was really useful actually when I was measuring up the draw for the rails, and just making sure that I had those dimensions right and that I was on the right track. Anyway, so I went in yesterday. It took me about 4.5 hours to get to Bristol. It should be an 1.5 hour drive yesterday, but there was closures on the M5, and then sat-navs were sending people off around circuitous routes, little country lanes, and they were just jamming. So I got completely stuck, which meant that I had to really, really rush. But thankfully the guys, Ben and Hamish and Jack, were really patient. Ben especially, actually, just to basically get me out of the store with a bunch of modules, right? And I didn't have a perfect idea of what it was I wanted. I didn't have a perfect shopping list, but I had a rough concept. And just with a bit of conversation and looking at some of the modules on their display rack and stuff, we were able to come up with a little shopping list, which I'll go through in a bit. But the main idea really is that, go back to the case, but the top half of the case would be sound creation, basically. So sound creation, modulation, LFOs, VCAs up here, right? And then we probably move into, I was thinking probably some kind of sequencing. Might have a step sequencer. We talked a bit about step sequences in the store yesterday. I was sort of trying to toy up between the benefits of getting just a gate sequencer or a device that will do pitch and gate. And actually, I didn't buy one in the end because they are super expensive. And I figured I could probably just continue sequencing off my Digitact just for the time being, with a little MIDI module which I purchased. I'll show you in a bit. So yeah, sound creation, LFOs, VCAs, oscillators up here. Maybe later on then some sequencing, drums down here. I thought it'd be good to get some toys, you know, maybe some of those Instruo modules, Luptar, and I can't remember the names, but they've got like sort of granular synthesizers and sort of tape looping sort of emulators. So things like that, they're expensive, but they're really fun to play with. You can do really creative stuff with that, with those devices. Or maybe something like maths or one of the mutable instruments modules. So kind of down the bottom, more kind of toys probably. But then I would like a mixer on the way out. And then on the 1U rail, probably stick with utilities. So definitely sort of an output module, which I bought yesterday, and possibly some other things in there. So that's kind of the general flow of the case that I had in mind. And then, so let me talk you through what I bought. So let's go through them in no particular order. So this is a Dupfer quad LFO. Oh, it is what it says. 4 LFOs. Yeah. What I really like about this this unit is I really love these knobs. Okay. Pots, encoders, whatever you want to call them. I think these are pots. So pots being potentiometers. Encoders actually have like a rotary dial with like a sort of little grating on them, and they go through a light gate, and they toggle a light gate on and off, which creates a little square wave, which goes into an ASIC, which does the counting. But that's in my experience of encoders. Pots are well, potentiometers, so I think that's what these are. Beautiful, lovely, solid, smooth action on those. So I'm super happy with that. So that's my, what is it, an A145-4. So it's a quad LFO from Dupfer. Right, what else do we have here? Mutant Brain. 16 out MIDI to CV/gate interface. The nice thing about this is it's made by Erica Synths. I've had a bit of a crush on Erica Synths for a while. They're up in the Baltics. I think they're in Latvia actually, and they make some incredible hardware. I do not own any. I do now, but I don't own any of their gear. But they do some really great systems. They do modular, I believe semi-modular, but also kind of complete sort of in the box systems, which if you look around on YouTube, you can see some awesome stuff. Anyway, so this is my MIDI interface from Erica Synths. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So this is a clone of plates by Mutable Instruments. Apparently Mutable Instruments have shut down. Ben was saying yesterday that the lady that was running the business has retired and therefore stopped producing modules, but there are lots of clones out there. I think that's what he said. So this is Big T Music Beehive Mutable Plates clone. So I'll have some fun with that. Looking forward to getting that in. And up here we have a 1U output module. Actually, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Comes with a nice little sticker. My kids like stickers. So, yeah, I can't even remember who made this, but it's just basically simple line out 1U. Okay. Expert sleepers. Let's see what's in here. It's a same focus. It's a filter module. Now in here, I like that little logo. Happy nerding. And in here, we have this little guy. It's another VCF. Again, good build quality. Nicely assembled. The pots feel good. Maybe not quite as gorgeous as those Dupfer ones. but still really lovely. So it looks like that's a 2-channel VCF. So it's a single filter with a bit of FM as well. That's going to be interesting. Play with that. But then it's got 2 inputs here, and I see. Oh, so this is for high pass and this is for low pass. I suppose so you patch into whichever one you want, whether you want a high pass filter or a low pass filter. And then band pass in the middle. We'll give that a go. Little sticker. So this is the IntelliGel Quad VCA. Again. Looks nice. Yeah, nice sturdy knobs. It's going to be a little bit fiddly. It's going to be interesting to play around with that. And the little switches. But I think it's all laid out quite nicely. 4 inputs, 4 outputs, 4 CV ins. Yeah, a VCA. Right, here from Bifaco. Oh, yeah, this is the VCO. It's called Pony VCO, I don't know why. Small, compact, simple oscillator. You can switch between waveforms in here. There's a little bit of modulation with this slider. So maybe pulse width modulation on the square wave, maybe. I don't know what it's going to do on the other waves. But I can put a scope across that and find out, I guess. Yeah, so standard VCA in, voltage per octave. Sync has got a timbre setting as well, which would be interesting to play with that, so we can get some CV control across the timbre on that oscillator. Yeah, nice little unit. So quite happy about that. So that's from Bifaco. And all of this was recommended by Ben at Elevator Sound, really. I don't know my way around these modules. Oh, we've got another Dupfer unit here. They're very plain packaging. So it's a dual ADSR envelope generator. There it is. And of course, oh, lovely Dupfer knobs. Really firm and steady. I was going to go with the idea of putting power in the side of my case. So what I thought was, I'd just have like, on the side of the case here, I'd have like a kettle lead or a laptop style power socket and a switch. So I just plug it in and out, or just switch it on and off. But then looking at options, it turns out that actually there is an easier way. Thanks again to Ben for helping me through this. And that is quite simply to get a case mountable power switch and input like that. Oh, it's upside down. So this is row power 45. And the only thing that you need with that is a supply. So I bought one of those as well, obviously. This is the power brick, which the manufacturers, I'm not sure the name of the manufacturers, is it MMS, something like that. The manufacturers recommend this power brick, which will do the job quite nicely. So we'll just plug in like that. This will go in the top of the rack, in the top of the case, power will go straight in the front. So no need to cut holes in the case and deal with any of that stuff. Yeah, power. And then to distribute the power, we have a couple of these. Flying bus cables, is that what they're called? So rather than having the physical form factor boards which you attach to the back, just use these bus cables. Hamish made this one up yesterday on the spot in about 5 minutes flat. It was pretty natty. So I've got a pair of these. So these I should quite easily be able to run off out the back of this, dangle around in the back of the case and deliver power to, well, to at least 20 modules. That should be enough to get started. I'll probably revisit the kind of power distribution bit later when I start to fill the case up a bit more. Yeah, so that is it. Next job, load it all into the case, turn it on or something? I don't know, let's find out.